I am ready to put this pandemic behind us. I've been ready for a very long time, but I guess other people aren't. Hi there. Welcome to Yarns and Yarns, episode 23.2. My name is Shay McIntosh Ford, and I live in Tulsa with my husband, our two boys, and our little puppy. This is a show about yarns as in fibers and yarns as in stories. And today is all about the stories. I will review what I've read this week, which I didn't actually complete a book, so it's kind of a quick reflection. And then I'll read a snippet of my own work and then go into the vlog of how my writing week went. All books and anything that I can link to will be down below. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I'd love to read them and respond. And so this year I have a calendar of Shakespearean insults, and I said that I would share my favorite of the week. This week was for January 5th. Splud, you starveling, you elfskin, you dried neat's tongue, you bull's pizzle, you stockfish. From Henry IV, Part 1. I don't think I want to know what a bull's pizzle is. So I actually never got a chance to finish reading a full book for this episode. I take that back. I listened to A Christmas Carol again because it came in. It's the one that's narrated by Jim Dale. If Tulsa doesn't have that version next Christmas, I'm going to request it because there is something about the way Jim Dale reads that is just gripping. It doesn't matter what it is, he is so good with characters. I will definitely request that one again. If I can't find it, I might actually just go ahead and buy it because I do listen to that book every year, and Jim Dale does such a wonderful job. One of the things that I did was I went through my library system and I looked for other books that he narrated. A lot of them are young adult fiction that I'm not really interested in, but I've never read Peter Pan. I checked out Peter Pan and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I'm looking forward to that, but I'm waiting on reading those until after I finish a book called The Conductors. This was written by Nicole Glover. This book was published this last March, and I'm not going to give a full review because I'm only 20% of the way through, and I don't know what it is. I'm struggling to grasp hold of these characters. Not that I don't understand them and their motives and what they're doing, and it's not a badly written book, but for some reason it's not gripping me. And I can't put my finger on why. I think it's because, so this is historical fantasy. It's set in the time of slavery and just after the Civil War. And I think what it is that I'm used to stories like this where there's a character who lives in the real world and has to learn the rules of this magical fantasy world. That's not the case here. You're following these magical people. You as a reader need to figure out the rules of this magical world. I think there's a lot of other books on fantasy that are set up that way, but those aren't the kind of fantasy books that I read. For me, it's like Harry Potter or the Alchemist series by Michael Scott. Outlander is another one, like my own with the Stone of Kings. And then the book that I'm writing right now, you have people who live in the normal world and they have to learn the rules of this magical world. When you don't have a character to follow who is also learning these rules, I think for me particularly, it becomes overwhelming to try to figure out not just the rules, but then the characters and how the world works in this particular story. It's still written well. I think the only problem I'm having with it is occasionally she will interrupt dialogue with a dialogue tag, and it makes it awkward for me. I prefer action ahead of the dialogue, or like some kind of indication of how to read that particular phrase, so that I don't read the phrase and then the dialogue tag and go back and have to reread the phrase in the right sense. You know what I mean? Like it kind of breaks the reading flow for me. But otherwise, I think it's a good story. I like the premise. I think I'm just getting overwhelmed with trying to figure it out. And it might just be me, I think a lot of people love fantasy and they read these stories where it already starts in this magical world. But I'm gonna keep going, so hopefully I'll have a review for you next week. I am still reading this one, How to Become a Successful Author by Russell Nohelty. Not quite halfway, so right here. I think I can turn my whip into a series, at least a trilogy, I think. Based on what I'm reading out of here, that would be the way to go. I never thought I could write a series before, but the more I think about it, the more I think I can do it. I hope, because that's what sells. The thing is the book I'm working on right now about the Cherokee, it's historical fantasy, and I've been writing it as a standalone, but the more I think about the plot, I can probably stretch it out. The thing he says, though, about writing a series is to have at least 3 books completed and ready to go so that you can publish every 3 months. Whew. Let's see if I can handle that. I hope so. And maybe this whole short story Ripple thing, I might be able to turn that into a companion series instead of short stories. I haven't even started on that. My wheels are turning. That's just it. With writing, your idea, you might not be actually sitting down with the pen and paper or at your keyboard, but your wheels are usually turning no matter what you're doing. So we're kind of working all the time. And it's nice to be able to do that, especially I think now that the boys are going back to school, even though they have to go back virtually tomorrow, I'm still going to have time to work on all of this stuff. So I'll be doing some extra research tomorrow after I get some writing sprints in, to see about creating a plot for a 2nd book and a 3rd book. I think that can happen. I'm gonna be a series writer. I recorded this earlier and totally forgot to clip my mic on my sweater, so here we go again. This is a reading from my blog. This one is a post I wrote in 2018 based on a picture of Robert Todd Lincoln being present at the attempted assassination of William Gaynor, who was New York City's mayor. It's titled Robert Todd Lincoln Again. Look up his history. That poor man, I'm surprised if he didn't have PTSD. He witnessed so much and went through so much in his life, and it was just like replay after replay after replay. So I had to write about it. So this is from his perspective. My ears go deaf. Before the ringing starts, I get the whiff of gunpowder. These sensations are all too familiar. We were making our way to our respective ship cabins to settle in for the journey when it happened. The gunman barely caught my eye before he moved in close to aim at Mayor Gaynor's throat. Now it comes to it, I did feel a slight perception of fear, perhaps the result of the villain's sneer. But without the knowledge of a gun, my fear felt misplaced. Blood squirts from my friend's neck. I hear the poof of a camera. I cannot move fast enough to help William lay on the ship's deck while calling for a doctor. I'm not sure I'm heard. What was before the excited chatter of people embarking to Europe has turned into a flurry of panic. Women scream, the rapid clacking of shoes race around me, men roughly disarm and subdue the gunman. I remove my coat to cushion William's head and note the metallic scent of his blood. Whether my cries for a doctor are heard or one volunteers regardless, help arrives. I leave my friend in his care. My hands shake as they always do at times like these. But why must I experience so many of these times? A mere 4 days ago, I'd mourned the 45th anniversary of my father's assassination. Why must fate be stubborn to me? Why be rescued by the brother of my father's killer at the tender age of 20, only to spend a lifetime witnessing assassinations? Father, President Garfield, President McKinley, and even my friend, the New York City mayor. How many more? And now it's time for the vlog. This happened yesterday too. I didn't quite get to my writing. As soon as I got geared up to get started, then people started walking into the kitchen. I really need my own office. I'll get there. This is what happened. I went to start a 30-minute sprint. 5 seconds. Didn't even get a word in. But That was a different alarm. That's a get off the video games alarm, which means I'm not gonna get any writing done. I've been looking up pictures to write sketches on like I did for the worked sketch. I've got a few ideas brewing. Maybe I'll be able to read one of them this week. Maybe I'll wait. I'll read an old one first. That way I can kind of distance myself. When you're writing, it's good to distance yourself from what you're writing for a while and then come back to it. And it's easier to catch any errors or awkward language. But that'll be in the works too. We had a little bit of quiet time today, so I tried to get some writing done. And I wrote from here to here, just like nothing. As soon as I got down to there, hubby called me in from the bedroom. He got his test results back and he is positive for COVID. The good part is he's fine. It's extremely mild. He's been under the weather, but it didn't stop him from fixing the fence in the backyard that blew down the other day. It took him a while to fix it because he's been a little on the tired side, but he's not so bad that he won't be able to work tomorrow. Fortunately, he took this past week off. We've all been fully vaccinated, and he and I have both been boosted. He's fine. We're hoping that the booster will be available for William, but if William ends up testing positive, both boys are asymptomatic at the moment. I've had a little bit of a sore throat, but it's barely anything. I guess we're probably going to end up being virtual again for at least a week. School is supposed to be on Tuesday. I'm not going to try for right now because of my condition. Stress triggers my issues, my symptoms. I am just going to knit and read. So this episode is probably going to be heavy on the reading because I'm not there. I can't. Something has to give. And unfortunately, it's going to have to be writing until the boys get back to school. Once they get to school in person, then I can do it. But right now, I got to figure out, because it's Sunday, I can't. It's frustrating because everything's closed on Sundays. I have to do all kinds of calling around tomorrow with the pediatrician, see if we can get an earlier test, because the boys neither the boys or I can get tested until Tuesday, which is when they're supposed to be in school. And then I got to ask the school, okay, well, what do we do when we stay home? Because is it just going to be like virtual again or what? Because they had special virtual teachers last semester at the school. I gotta figure all that out tomorrow, so yeah. No writing. I might try to break out a short story. I hate COVID. So we found out through their pediatrician that there was one of those drive-through COVID test centers where you didn't need an appointment. Even though we waited online for 4 hours, it was still faster than waiting for our appointment at CVS. This is a clip of the first part of what we went through. All right, what are we doing, guys?
Roadblocks.
Why are we sitting in the car for hours?
Because we're waiting on the really long line.
You wanna see how long it is?
COVID testing. It's way longer than that.
It's even longer than this.
We've been waiting for about 2 hours now.
It wraps around, and no, we've been waiting for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, hour and a half.
Fortunately, I brought my knitting because this is crazy. Forgive me if you've already seen all that on the knitting episode, but I'm going to put it in here for the bookish episode too, just because it's a story. We were online for close to 4 hours. This next clip is from when we were all done with our tests. We decided to drive back through and see how long the line still was or got. At one point, you might hear me say that's where the guy cut me, and it's because a pickup truck decided to take advantage of the fact that I was not blocking a cross street. He just jumped right in front of me. So he only had to wait for an hour and 45 minutes. I was not happy.
I was actually pretty ticked off.
Why do people have to be so rude? We're all there. We're all miserable. Don't make it worse, right? Okay. I'm just curious to see if it's still back where we were or if it's shorter or longer.
longer than before.
It sure is.
This is like around here was about where we got in.
I think so.
Yeah, we
we're
got in right here.
Yeah, that's where we started.
Yeah, it was right here.
It's longer now. So long.
There's the end of it.
These people are gonna be in line for a very long time.
I would say 5 hours
Yep.
at least, if not more.
Yikes.
That's crazy. All right, and now for the good news. We finally got our COVID results in this morning, but we're all negative, all three of us. So, because it was so early in the day, I decided I'm just gonna take the boys in. I mean, they could have done it online, but I'm done with that. They could at least do the last half of the day in person. So now I can send them to school without worrying about, them being asymptomatic positive and infecting their classmates and assisting for schools to close because there's not enough staff. We're not contagious. So I've had the afternoon to kind of just chill, and I'm actually getting ready to go pick them up here in a few minutes. Tomorrow is going to be from morning to afternoon. They are finally going back in person for the first time in almost 2 years. This is crazy. 2 years of school at home. So tomorrow I am going to be wrapping up this video, getting it ready, because tomorrow's Thursday and I post on Friday. I like to have it ready Thursday night so that I can schedule it for Friday morning. In the meantime, I will do my best to get some writing in. I'm not feeling all that great from the stress of everything. It's exacerbated some of my symptoms. I'm not gonna push myself. It's just gonna be easy going. And once we get into a good flow again, as long as school doesn't close because of too many cases, I can just get it all done. Guess what? The boys are moving to distance learning tomorrow because of too many COVID cases. I did manage to get a writing sprint in today. I am going to do more writing sprints tomorrow. I really just need to get this recording finished and edited for tonight. And I had to run some errands, which got in the way, but it's coming. Again, I don't have a word count this week, but I do know that I am past 60,000 words. I have enough to type up, but I just haven't had the time to do it. I'll be definitely getting a lot more sprints in tomorrow. So even if they're home, at least they'll be busy. And hubby's back to work too. Maybe I won't get interrupted. And that's all I have this week. I hope you get to read all of the books and write all the words. I hope I get to write all the words eventually. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, ring that little bell, and I will see you next time. Bye. And before I get started, I would like to share for the first time this year, this week's my favorite Shakespeare, or some others. I guess the rest of it was on. Stubborn to me. Why be rescued by the bottom?